With the Mega Dimension DLC just around the corner for Pokémon Z-A, I thought I'd just go through a quick video talking about like which types I think the new Megas are going to get in this DLC, because I think it would be a pretty cool little speculation video. Before I get into it though, I do want to just mention that obviously this is a video that contains spoilers, considering we're going to be talking about the potential Megas coming up. On the day of recording, this is Saturday the 6th of December, so it's just a couple of days before the DLC comes out. I haven't had a look at any recent leaks, but I do know which Megas are going to be in the DLC, or what's rumoured to be in the DLC anyway, via the data mine, which is turning out to be pretty accurate considering the Megas that we've seen so far in the release trailers on the launch up to this DLC. So obviously, if you want to avoid any spoilers, click off the video right now, and if you do click off, then you can always come back in the future and see if my speculation was correct in any way, shape or form. But with that mandatory disclaimer out of the way, we'll jump into it. So, as I said, we do know which Megas we're going to be getting in the DLC through data mines at the moment. Some of these have obviously been revealed and have got types, so we'll notify those ones straight off the bat. So obviously you got Raichu, which has the Z form and the X form, both staying mono electric types, which is pretty boring considering we've got also another one that's already been revealed is the Zorora. So it's pretty boring that we have mono Raichu X, mono Raichu Y, Zorora, and also Electros in the game, alongside as a pre-existing Megas that are mono-electric, like Mega Manectric. So that's not great, but I mean, their designs are pretty cool. Chimecha we've seen, that's now becoming part Steel. Yeah, part Steel Psychic, which is going to be pretty interesting. Again, I like the design on that one because it's pays homage to Chingling, kind of like a Feraligatr style-esque way of designing. Some might argue they've done it in a better way. I'd call it like Feraligatr, but I would agree that it's stationary. Its HUD being in the stationary position is it's not ideal. Let's just say that. So yeah, Chingling's still Psychic. Pretty cool typing. It's pretty good defensive typing, actually, come to think of it. It's weak to fire, is weak to ground, but that depends if it gets Levitate, because obviously with its design of how it's in the air, they may well get Levitate, which would take off that weakness. What else can it? What is it? Weak to dark. But it resists with the steel. It resists a lot, so that's a pretty good typing to have, to be fair. So then we move on to Absol, and we know that we're going to be getting Absol, Mega Absol Z, because they've revealed Mega Absol, Mega Lucario Z, sorry. And we know that this is a new type of, like new types of Mega within this game, and they have like a little, a small niche in being that they are able to attack quicker. How that will transfer into the typical turn-based game, I just think that'll be eliminated, to be fair, and you'll just have another Mega Lucario, for example. So I don't think, like, in the turn-based game they'll have any niche that makes them stand out different, other than just what the different stats they'll probably have when the time comes around, and the different abilities to the other Mega as well. But in this game we know that they'll be able to attack quicker from when you press the button. So when it comes to a new Absol Mega, I'd hope that they give it a new typing to distinguish it from the other Mega Absol. However, that's not guaranteed, because we know with Mega Lucario, that stays still fighting, which again is a little bit of a letdown, just because it's a little bit boring, because we've already got a still fighting Mega Lucario, so it's just kind of like, what's the point in making another one? Like, yes, it does look different, and I think it plays more into the still elements. As you can see, like, they've definitely grown in stature, the still elements of Lucario, being especially like the stuff on the chest, and there's also a mention of that within its Pokédex form. Pokédex entry, I should say. But yeah, yeah, it's just like we've already got one. It'd be nice to have a different element to it. So with Absol, I think Mega Absol is just Dark type. And what I would like to see is probably Dark Fairy. Is Mega Absol just Dark type? Is it going to tell me? I'm pretty confident it is. Mega Absol Wikipedia. It doesn't want to show me, but yeah, it's just Dark type. It's fine. I'd like it to become Dark Fairy because it does have that, especially the Mega Absol with the wings. It has that element to it. And also, if it becomes Dark Fairy, it becomes more of an offensive threat because then it can hit, because it gets play rough as well. This dice definitely gets play rough, which might be, that could be an indicator that it's going to become fairy. Maybe that's why it has play rough, but it's had that since like generation 6. So, but it means it hits dragons, which is the most important aspect, really, isn't it? The ability for it to hit dragon fairies, the one-off, or if not the strongest type in the game. So it's very good offensively. It's pretty good defensively as well. I mean, it's only weak to Still's quite common, but that's because fairy is so good offensively. Poison, again, people run it simply because of fairy types, but it's not very good because it only hits grass after that. So I'd like it to become fairy type, and that's going to be my guess actually, because I think, as I said, if they play up the features of its wings a little bit more, because that looks a pretty fairy type, doesn't it? Let's be honest. So if they play homage to that a little bit more, then I can easily see it getting the fairy type on that one. On to Megastaraptor. I think with him, he's going to stay flying, fighting, I should say, simply because he was pretty renowned for that when it was released, for both having, because Generation 4 was the generation that Brave Bird was introduced, which was kind of a staple move for your flying type Pokemon then, especially like your like regional birds. I don't know if Pidgeot got it, but I think like Swellow started to learn it. I don't think Noctowl did as well, but he was the first guy to get Brave Bird, and obviously it was a big thing in the anime as well, was Ash's Staraptor. There was a whole kind of like a couple of episodes dedicated to him trying to develop and learn this, so that was a big thing as well. And then obviously Close Combat was also introduced in Generation 4, and it was unique for Staraptor to get this. He's still the only regional bird, or there'll be different flying types that get it now, like Holucha as well. But he's still the only regional bird that gets this, and it was quite that's what Staraptor's known for a little bit. It's like, Staraptor, he can learn close combat. It's a pretty interesting element of him, and also it gives him that more offensive prowess. So I do think he'll stay flying fighting. I think in terms of the design, I think they'll just expand on that as well and make him look more fighting-esque. I think potentially turning his talons into like kicking machines maybe, or maybe his wings will become more human-esque and turn more into like hands, and who knows what's going to happen with the hair. But I do think he'll stay fighting flying. Then we've got Garchomp, who we also know is going to be getting a Z form. Now my idea around him is I think he will become, well, I have multiple theories. One of them being, I think, and I think I've seen a leak about this, is that the design element is going to be more inspired by the fact that he looks a little bit like a jet when he's flying, because obviously he hovers in the game, and when he does, he looks a little bit like a jet, and you can see that quite easily with obviously the back fin being sort of like the back of a jet, and I think they might, and obviously the head as well pays elements to that, and I think that's what they're going to be drawing inspiration from in terms of this design. And if that's the case, well, I think it's going to go either two ways. So obviously you can have Dragon Flying, which would be quite an interesting type, and it would keep his 4-time weakness to ice. Or potentially they might just make him pure Dragon, which would be really good for him. So I see that my issue with that is I do think they have to keep Garchomp in check, because obviously he is so good. That's why his Mega lost speed, because if his Mega just gained, like, even if his Mega stayed the same speed as his base form, or even gained just 10 more, he would have been pretty much busted. So they had to kind of put a bit of a chain on him to keep him balanced. And I think that's also why they give him the ground type as well, because that also keeps him in check in the fact that he stays 4 times weak to ice. Because if he doesn't become Dragon Flying or stays Dragon Ground, then that means, and he just becomes Dragon, that means obviously he's only weak to Fairy, Dragon, and 2 times weak to Ice, which is so good, like so good. I mean, Fairy, yes, is quite common, but that would be really good for Garchomp. And if his stats become busted as well, when he gets an incredible ability, like I just think that he needs to be kept in check. So he potentially could become Dragon Flying, and that's going to be my guess. Heatran will stay Fire still, I reckon. I think they'll play quite safe in the terms of his design, and they'll just expand on the still aspect, I think. I'm not going to keep too long on this guy, because I do think it's quite straightforward in the sense that he will just expand in terms of designs on his still, and it's quite easy to perceive what he'll become. So I'm going to guess Fire still. Then it's Darkrai, and again, a little bit of a left field guess for this guy. I'm going to say he'll become Dark Fairy, and that's because it's easy to imagine these aspects of him, which is like the cloak becoming quite fairy-esque, and also it'd be quite a cool typing. But again, I guess, oh, look at that, that's pretty cool, Dark Ghost. I guess, if they make Mega Absol Dark Fairy as well, then, well, that would be 2 Dark Fairies, then maybe not. Maybe he'll just stay, I meant to put Mega Darkrai. Maybe he'll just stay, that's definitely a fake, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, maybe he'll just stay Dark. But I'm gonna go left field. You know, it's my video, you might as well. I'm gonna go left field and say this guy will become Dark Fairy, but we'll see. Mega Golem easily. I think he'll just become Ground Flying, to be honest. Share that typing with Gliscor, which is one of my favourite Pokemon. I've put Golem instead of oh my god, what's his name? I've completely forgot his Golurk. Slipped my mind then. I think he'll become, I mean, that's quite a cool little Mega there. If you're listening to this though and not watching, I'm just looking at some photos on Google, and they are quite cool in terms of the design feature. But I think this will pay more element to the fact that obviously quite a lot shown in his media that he like tucks himself in and he becomes this flying jet sort of thing. And I think that's what they'll gain inspiration from, and will probably make that his Mega, which will be pretty cool that he gets a Mega, because he definitely needs it. He needs the stats. But I think he'll become Ground Flying. When it comes to the Meow Sticks, I think they will be uniform in terms of just getting 1 Mega, like Pyroar is. That Mega might pay attention to both, to elements from both of them, in one way or shape or form, but I don't think they'll get separate Megas. And again, I think they'll play it pretty safe with this guy and just go, probably stay Psychic. I can't see him being too crazy, but I might be wrong. But I think he'll just stay Psychic. So then it's Mega Crabominable, which is quite cool that he's getting a Mega, to be fair, but he is so ugly for Pokemon. Let's see, Mega Crabominable. I don't really get much inspiration from this guy to what he might be. I mean, that's quite cool that they've thought he's going to turn into a volcano and become part fire type. Maybe. But I think with the fact that Crabrawler is fighting type, I can't see him going past that, to be honest. And I think he'll stay ice fighting. I don't know whether or not he'll get like extra pincers, because, you know, it's not hard. It's not a too far of a stretch of an imagination for this guy to just get some extra arms or even little miniature arms, and become a little bit like Machamp in essence. And I can see that with him. So I'm going to guess fighting ice. I think, and if I was to hazard a guess to design, I think that either he's going to get additional arms, or his legs might turn. It could be even a case of like his legs become bigger and he starts kicking with them, sort of thing. But yeah, I think he'll stay ice fighting. Golisopod is a really cool one because he's such a cool mon. It'd be interesting to see what they do with him, not on this game, because obviously abilities don't exist, but when it comes to the competitive scene, say with the release of Champions, if these guys are allowed in, it'll be interesting to see what ability his Mega would have, and whether or not he would keep Emergency Exit, because obviously it's a unique ability, and it's hard to just shake that off, because I mean, he could get something like Tough Claws, would be a pretty interesting ability. Maybe he might get something completely different, but I think it would be hard for him to shake off Emergency Exit, because it does make him unique and interesting, and I think they'll want to keep that to him. I can't see him being any different to Bug Water, to be honest. The only potential, I mean, he does have fighting elements, let's be honest. So there's every chance that he could be water fighting, like Urshifu, but I doubt that. Maybe bug fighting he might turn into. But we have got a lot of fighting Megas, and we've also got Lucario the same fighting. And bug water would be an interesting type to stay to. But again, there's also, he could become Bug Dragon. He could become the first Bug Dragon, actually, and do a Flygon. Because it's easy for this guy to turn into a dragon. So easy. I mean, he's already got elements of it. Actually, as I say that sounds really cool if he was to be Bug Dragon and be the first time to do that. So I'm going to go with that. I didn't think he would be, but, you know, I'm going to go left field again. And I'm going to say that Golisopod will become Bug Dragon, and he'll be the first Pokemon to have that typing. Because then he'll be Bug Dragon and have a unique ability in... my fingers are changing colour there. In Emergency Exit. So I'm going to go Bug Dragon. Magearna, I think, will stay Steel. I don't really know too much about this guy, so I'm conscious of how long this video is going on. So I'm not going to spend too long on him, and I'm just going to say... what is it currently? I've never had a Magearna here in game, actually. I don't think I got one from Ultra Sun and Moon. He's still Fairy. I can't see him changing, to be fair, so I'll just say Magearna's going to stay still Fairy. Zeraora, we know, is staying Mono Electric. As I said, a little bit boring. Mega Scovillain, he's going to stay Fire Grass because he was the first Pokemon to do it. Obviously, we then got Ogerpon, which became... which with the right mass scory can become Fire Grass. But Scovillain was the first to do it. And it's quite unique, and I can't see it changing because the only way for it to not become Grass Fire is to lose one of its heads, which would be really weird. So, I mean, in terms of design, it's probably going to be a pretty... Oh, I didn't know he had a mixed attacker. His stats are pretty weak, to be fair. He definitely needs a Mega. Yeah. His design is probably just going to be more pepper heads, or there'll be a lot bigger heads. He might become like a Hydra sort of esque, but I don't think he'll gain the dragon, because as I said, to lose one of those typings means he would have to lose one of the heads, and that isn't going to happen. So I'm going to say that will stay Grass Fire and probably just get bigger heads or more heads, ALB. Glamora is a really interesting one. I can't remember that. Is it Lamora? That's the final evolution, isn't it? Yeah. Can't remember the name of the first one. Limit. Rock Poison. Can't see it changing, to be fair. No, I can't see that changing typing, so I would say it'll stay Rock Poison. I'm just looking down this list and thinking, because they are going to add types to some of them, like with Meganium, they added Fairy, but they didn't add too many others to the base ones. What I mean by base ones, sorry, is that it's the new Megas that they introduced in the base game of ZA. So I don't think I need to be like, oh, this Pokemon's going to get this type, or this Pokemon's going to get this type, because it's just not realistic. Game Freak just doesn't work like that. Excuse me. We've got to work off like past iterations of what Game Freak does, and they're not going to be too drastic in change as well as they wouldn't have gave Mega Lucario Z still fighting. So yeah, I think that'll stay Rock Poison. Mega Excalibur, we already know, is staying Dragon Eyes. We've already seen him. Pretty cool design. And then finally, Mega Tatsugiri, which is quite interesting. Now, in the data mine, there is like 3 separate entries for this guy. So it implies that potentially each form of Tatsugiri will be getting a Mega. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I don't think it's going to be as drastic as you would like. I don't know how you spell this guy. Oh, thank you, Google. What is its 3 forms? Curly form, droopy form, stretchy form. He looks really suspicious, doesn't he? He looks a little bit like... There's an episode of The Simpsons. It's the one where Mel Gibson's in it, and at the end of the episode, there's a dog with shifty eyes. Because Homer pays a bit of a pun to it in this episode, and he looks very similar. Oh god, he definitely needs the Megas, doesn't he? His stats are terrible. Big special attack, though. I think this guy will probably... In terms of stats, I think he's just going to get a massive special attack and a bit more speed, to be honest. I don't think he'll become much more bulkier. Maybe a little bit in special defense. And HP as well. I think he'll... Well, I'll tell you what they could do. They could turn it into... They could make it look a little bit like a dish. And maybe have like all 3 forms on this dish design sort of element. I don't want to get too much into designs because... I mean, they could go anyway with it. But I'm just here just like what types I think they'll be. I think they'll stay Dragon Water. I think they'll all collectively come together. No, because they've got 3 different dex entries. Who knows? It's an interesting one. But just by the type, I don't want to just say Dragon Water because that's going to make this video a bit boring. So I need to throw out a little bit of a left field and take a punt. Maybe each one will get a different type. So maybe one will stay Dragon Water. One might just become turn into Mono Dragon. I mean, maybe their types will match their colours. So like, for example, Droopy form, he might become Dragon Fairy. Stretchy form, Dragon Electric, which would be a really cool type. We do see that quite a lot though, with like Dracozol and oh my god, what's his name? Not Roaring Moon, the Raikou Paradox form, Raging Bolt, that's the name. We do see that with him as well. So, but I'm gonna go with that because that's gonna be an interesting left field. Obviously, he's orange, and there's no type that's orange unless he's orange is usually identified with like fighting type. So maybe he becomes Dragon Fighting, like Komodo. Yeah, let's say that Dragon Fighting for the curly form. Droopy form becomes Dragon Fairy. Stretchy form becomes Dragon Electric. Excuse me. That's going to be my guess. That's what I'm going to say. And then yeah, with that, then I've took a punt at all the Megas and what types I think they'll be. So I'll end the video here. If you enjoy this type of video and want to see more of it, then yeah, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.